advantage of the Add This button, allowing you the opportunity to bookmark us through one of your favorite social networks such as Facebook and Twitter. You can also bookmark us and add us to your favorites through one of your favorite internet browsers such as Mozilla Firefox or Internet Explorer, whatever version you have. It works. Pick it up at addthis.com. If you have a website, it's a great way to increase traffic and utilize social networking. Alright, we're going to start with the Money in the Bank wins that he had. He won the first Money in the Bank ladder match in 2005. That was an amazing match, and I don't know why they don't do the Money in the Bank ladder match anymore at WrestleMania. They gave it its own pay-per-view, but I think that the Money in the Bank ladder match definitely deserves a place at WrestleMania. Now, there are rumors that the Money in the Bank ladder match is going to be returning for WrestleMania this year. That remains to be seen. This idea was brought forth by Chris Jericho, who competed in the first Money in the Bank ladder match, having a vision of over 6 to 8 wrestlers competing in one match with a briefcase suspended above the ring for a title opportunity they could cash in at any time. The idea and match was modified by Eric Bischoff. Edge wins it, and it was a great way to push him as a heel back in 2005, and he held on to the Money in the Bank contract probably longer than anybody who's held it up until this point in time, cashing it in at the New Year's Revolution pay-per-view in 2006, the first New Year's Revolution pay-per-view to happen. I believe there were only 2 New Year's Revolution pay-per-views in WWE history. He cashes it in following a outstanding Elimination Chamber match featuring the likes of Carlito, Chris Masters, Kane, and John Cena, and becomes WWE Champion for the first time in his career, going on to win it 9 other times, including the World Championship. I think that the Money in the Bank ladder match really put stars like Shelton Benjamin and Edge on pedestals that they're very deserving of being on. It's beyond me why WWE didn't keep Shelton Benjamin around, and Shelton's now on the independents trying to make a name for himself and doing other things outside of the WWE. But the Money in the Bank ladder match was absolutely outstanding. In 2007, Edge wins the Money in the Bank contract again, not even having to compete in the Money in the Bank ladder match. He defeats Mr. Kennedy, who won the Money in the Bank ladder match that year at WrestleMania. At WrestleMania 23, he wins that. And of course, Edge and Mr. Kennedy have this match. Kennedy goes down with an injury leading into the match and has to relinquish the Money in the Bank contract. Edge picks up the ball and picks up the Money in the Bank contract with a victory over Kennedy, who is currently now in TNA Wrestling. And Edge goes on a few weeks after to cash it in against The Undertaker to get his second victory over The Undertaker in his career. Impressive. I really like the Undertaker-Edge matches, and I can never put those matches over enough. Any match The Undertaker's involved in, it makes his opponent look absolutely outstanding. Edge has had the Money in the Bank contract twice, and he's used it quite sufficiently both times, and it's very impressive that Edge has actually held the Money in the Bank contract without even having to win the actual Money in the Bank ladder match. And of course, there are rumors the Money in the Bank ladder match is going to be returning for WrestleMania 28 this year, but it still remains to be seen. It is to be noted that one of the reasons why Edge is going into the Hall of Fame, he's held more championships than anybody in the professional wrestling industry, and I use Ric Flair as an example as to how many championships Edge has held, and really put this into perspective for you. 16 world titles for Ric Flair. Edge has held 10 world championships in his career, with a compilation of both the WWE and World Championship, which was of course originally brought in by WCW, implemented for the first time. Edge actually retired on top of the business as the champion following his final wrestling match with Alberto Del Rio at WrestleMania 27, which was actually the show opener for WrestleMania 27. I think it could have been put on a better position on the card than the first match. He had Christian in his corner for that thing, and that really built in for Christian to win the world title in a ladder match at Extreme Rules the following pay-per-view after Edge has his final match. That really helped Christian out a lot. He held the title twice in the same year. But I really think that, Edge is definitely on a pedestal higher than anybody. Over 31 championships in his career, had the majority of his success as a tag team competitor with partners like Orton. A huge part of Rated RKO there. He had the tag team titles for a short time with Chris Jericho, Hulk Hogan, and Christian. So, he had a lot of championships in his career, over 31. Putting him on a list of perhaps the top 5 greatest Canadian wrestlers of all time, you have Bret Hart will always be number 1 because of his popularity, not because he won a lot of championships, but because of his popularity. And number 2 on that list, with 3 other additions, whoever you want to put on that list, if you had to make your own list, has to be Edge. So in number 1 we have Bret Hart, and in the number 2 spot we're going to put Edge for all the championships that he won. And putting it into perspective for you, Ric Flair with 16 world title reigns, Edge has 10, but apart from that he has other championships to his credit, over 21. That is impressive. That is an impressive accomplishment that I think Edge needs to be credited for. He had a major neck injury as well. His perseverance of that around 2001, 2002, I can't remember the actual date when this was all made public for the first time by World Wrestling Entertainment and the company as a whole. I know that Confidential, which was an old program from WWE, really did a fantastic documentary about Edge's neck injury and surgery and the rehab process, and I remember seeing that. A neck injury is something that is very hard to rebound off of and very hard to come back from. Some wrestlers don't even come back from neck injuries at all. Chris Benoit obtained the name the Crippler in ECW when he broke Sabu's neck following an outstanding German suplex. Benoit's name is a name that's never mentioned in the wrestling business. Benoit and Edge had a number of great matches as well throughout Edge's career. But a neck injury is something very difficult to rebound off of, and I think that the fact that Edge had tremendous perseverance dealing with his neck injury and surgery is a reason alone. That reason alone stands alone against a number of other reasons as to why Edge should be inducted into the Hall of Fame. It is outstanding how much perseverance he actually had to rebound off all that, and I give him all the credit in the world for doing that. The most known injury of his career, just as Triple H's quadricep injury was the most well-known of his. I think definitely. So Edge definitely, his career jeopardized by a lot of injuries. He had a major injury that he rebounded off of in 2009, comes back around 2010, 2011 from another serious injury just 10 years after, just about 10 years after that major neck injury. So I think, for Edge's perseverance alone is a reason why he should be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, definitely. There are a number of other reasons as to why he should be inducted into the Hall of Fame, and one of them is the fact that he had this outstanding match with The Undertaker at WrestleMania 24, a WrestleMania that was guest hosted by the likes of Floyd Money Mayweather and Raven Simone from Disney Channel. They had a phenomenal match. Edge taps out to the Hell's Gate, giving The Undertaker one of his final championships in his career. I think it's great that Edge had the opportunity to at least main event one WrestleMania, and up until that match with The Undertaker, it is to be noted, Edge was undefeated for a number of years at WrestleMania. The Undertaker handing him his first loss on his WrestleMania record. The Undertaker right now at this point in time 19-0. It is anticipated for the Dead Man to go 20-0 at WrestleMania, but that match with The Undertaker and Edge had a phenomenal conclusion and a lot of hype, a lot of involvement between Edge and Vicky Guerrero, the Edgeheads, and The Undertaker. It had a outstanding rivalry behind the match. It was great. Probably the best match of the Undertaker Edge saga we saw in 2006. I liked the match they had at the Extreme Rules pay-per-view that year when The Undertaker was supposedly banned from the WWE forever. He's reinstated that same year, and they have this outstanding Hell in a Cell match to put a stamp of finality on the feud at that following SummerSlam. So I think it's great that Edge had the opportunity at least once in his career to main event WrestleMania, and against a superstar like The Undertaker is absolutely outstanding. I'll never forget when Edge stood in the ring and made his retirement decision public, and he actually mentioned the match he had with The Undertaker at WrestleMania. He said, if someone were to have told me that I would be wrestling against The Undertaker 10 years after I started, I would have thought they were crazy, but I guess their assumption would have been correct, because Edge at least had one opportunity to main event against The Undertaker at WrestleMania, and that's an accomplishment in its own right. He had his final match, as I mentioned, at WrestleMania 27 against Alberto Del Rio. Alberto Del Rio likes to refer to himself as being the man who retired Edge from professional wrestling. I think that a number of injuries, a number of matches he had throughout his career, notwithstanding Alberto Del Rio's phenomenal cross arm breaker and how he applies it, but I think a number of factors resulted in Edge retiring rather than Alberto Del Rio. The neck problems he's had, the spinal fusion problems he's had, the major injury he had in 2009, 2010 when it was speculated that his career was over because of the injuries. I mean, Edge himself said if he would have fallen at least once more, he would have probably never been able to get up. So I think a number of factors definitely can be credited to Edge having his final match at WrestleMania 27. It was an outstanding match. It was the show opener of WrestleMania 27. I think it could have had a better place on the card, a better position than the show opener. He had Christian in his corner. Alberto Del Rio had his ring announcer in his corner, but I think that it was an outstanding match either way you want to look at it. Alberto Del Rio versus Edge. It's featured on the WrestleMania 27 Blu-ray. If you haven't had a chance to see it, pick it up. Wherever WWE Blu-ray and DVDs are sold, it's on Blu-ray and DVD, and it's a phenomenal match. I remember seeing it. I had the privilege of actually having the opportunity to see that. He won the King of the Ring tournament in the early 2000s. Competed against a number of outstanding talents to do that. They didn't really do much with Edge following his King of the Ring victory that year, but I think that really began signs of a push for Edge to come a few years after. In 2004, they really started pushing Edge. But at least he has one King of the Ring tournament victory to his credit, and he actually won the King of the Ring tournament when the King of the Ring tournament was justified and actually meant something to the WWE. This new version, this new format they have for the King of the Ring is atrocious. I really don't like the new King of the Ring format used as a Raw special, just to give WWE an excuse to do another 3-hour Raw special to take up time on their yearly calendar. I would like for the King of the Ring pay-per-view to be brought back, which started in the 1980s and was really emphasized on around 93 when Bret Hart won the first ever pay-per-view done for the King of the Ring. But the cool thing about Edge's was he won it when the King of the Ring tournament meant something, and on the last of it, when Lesnar won the last meaningful King of the Ring tournament in 2002 and became champion at that year's following SummerSlam. I think that Edge definitely, this is a great career accomplishment for him because he actually won the tournament when it meant something, and that's great too. He won the 2010 Royal Rumble in addition to his King of the Ring victory several years ago, eliminating John Cena as the final competitor. Makes a surprise appearance in the Royal Rumble. Edge was always a superstar who was described as being the ultimate opportunist, and I think that his victory of the 2010 Royal Rumble, about 2 years ago now, around the 2-year mark, we're approaching the 25th anniversary of the Royal Rumble around this point in time on the final Sunday of this month. I think that is a real illustration as to why they referred to Edge on the last few years of his career as the ultimate opportunist and the rated R superstar, because he made the most of every opportunity he was presented with. He came back when nobody was expecting him to come back, and he wins the Royal Rumble in such Edge fashion and Edge style, eliminating John Cena. And that year at WrestleMania, he actually competes against Chris Jericho. He's booked to lose at WrestleMania, but the big thing is he comes back off a career-threatening injury when nobody thought he would, and really proves a lot of people wrong. So I think his victory of the 2010 Royal Rumble just is another fantastic addition to his already impressive resume. This guy has an outstanding resume. He's hosted a segment known as The Cutting Edge, a really cool segment. I actually just recently finished up a storyline involving Edge in the WWE 12 video game. I beat that game in its entirety for PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. And in that game, there's actually a Cutting Edge segment done between Arn Anderson and Edge. It's really lifelike. They even have the Rated R Cutting Edge logo in the left-hand bottom of the screen. And it's outstanding. That Cutting Edge was phenomenal. I mean, many guests have appeared on the Cutting Edge. Shawn Michaels, Chris